Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay Today. And we're here local in the Lehigh Valley with both Mary and Eric. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
Doing very well. Yeah.
Well, I just figured it would be a good chance to kind of talk about, what's going on here in not everybody knows about the Lehigh Valley and also the strong LGBT everything here. I mean, there's, especially but from where your perspective, the business community as well as Pride and so forth. So I thought we could just chat a little bit about that.
Sure.
But Eric, let us
Wonderful.
know. I'll start with you. Just let you introduce yourself and tell us all who you are.
Sure, of course. So my name is Eric Leadbetter, and I work for Iron Valley Real Estate here in the Lehigh Valley. I own a team called the Eric Leadbetter team at Iron Valley Real Estate. There's 8 of us. I've been in real estate since the end of 2013, and all here locally in the Valley, it's pretty incredible and pretty awesome. There's a wonderful community here, and we love what we do.
Yeah, yeah. And how is, well, actually, I was going to say your drone real estate videos are some of my favorite that I've ever seen online. You go over these farmhouses in Pennsylvania that make me want to move.
I know, it's exciting. And it's funny. I remember you telling me that the first time. And the exciting part is when you take a drone over some of these houses, you don't realize some of the landscape that's around it. And, the MLS or Zillow is really nice when you're looking at the front or the inside of houses. But when you can kind of show what's around it, it makes a difference where you're going to, where you're going to live. So it's cool.
Oh,
Thank you.
I loved it. And Mary?
Yeah. So Mary Lisicky. I am a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Been doing that for 15 years. Actually, last week celebrated my 15th anniversary with the company. So
Wow.
graduated 15 years ago on a Saturday, started working for Morgan Stanley on that Monday. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have taken some time and traveled and gone and see the world, but unfortunately we're here, we're doing that. But yeah, it's certainly been a challenging time working from home. I'm currently sitting at my dining room table with some screens, not quite what I'm used to, but we're making do with everything. So yeah, just excited to talk all Lehigh Valley. I grew up here. Actually went to school down in Washington, D.C., and then I stayed down there for 5 years or so before moving back. Just love and family got me back up into the Lehigh Valley, and I haven't regretted it since.
Well, you and I have a relationship that I find very, it's not just a modern relationship, but it's also kind of ties into, it's where things are going, I think, nowadays. You and I, we were connected on LinkedIn. I knew there was an LGBT group here in Lehigh Valley, and I was coming out here a lot because my husband's family lives out here. So I was interested, and we started chatting, but then you had invited me to come out and speak at this event, this LGBT event. And I was like, oh, this will be interesting. And I was blown away because I didn't realize that it's a unique situation you guys have here. It's the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, which is not LGBT, but you've got a huge Chamber of Commerce in the Valley. And then the LGBT component to this group, when you hear that, you think, oh, there's going to be 10 or 20 people max. And, you're thinking it's just a nice little intimate subset or subchapter. It was huge. I mean, you guys, I go in there and there's hundreds of people at this conference you guys are doing. And I will end that part by saying it was one of my favorites because I'm there on stage. You let me present, and we're talking about social media and LGBT, and the audience was so engaged. There was full crowd, and they were all not only taking notes but asking a lot of questions. They came up afterwards. Somebody like me that's up on stage, I live for these things. So
yeah,
you guys have done an incredible job.
Well, thank you. And certainly we appreciate you being one of those speakers, presenters at that event. But like you said, it is a unique situation that we find ourselves in, that we operate under the umbrella of the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, which is really unusual. Typically, you'll see in the New York City, the major metropolitan areas, Philadelphia, they have their own separate LGBT Chamber of Commerce, which is great, and that works for them. But believe it or not, the Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, I think, is the 5th largest in the country. Like, that is mind-boggling to people. But that's, again, how we operate. So while we operate like that, we've always had the autonomy to be creative and to be entrepreneurial, which is great, right? The chamber itself lets us do our thing. So it lets us speak to our members, which is kind of what led us to that event that you spoke at. But as an example, back in 2012 or 13, whenever same-sex marriage was becoming legalized, right? We saw this need for couples locally to now that, well, we can go get married, don't you want to go find a vendor that is friendly to you? So we put on a wedding expo, the first ever LGBT focused wedding expo for 2 years, massively successful. It was awesome. Of course, it was great that we didn't need to really kind of keep that going, which is awesome for Lehigh Valley people. But then in 2016, we put on what you arrived and presented at, was our first LGBTQ focused business summit, and we've been doing it for 3 years. Unfortunately, the last one was canceled due to the COVID virus because it was going to be held in March, but focusing on marketing to the LGBTQ community. We had a panel 1 year of small business owners, but LGBTQ focused, right? I mean, business owners. We talked about topics like transitioning with your trans workers, how to be a great out employee, how to be an ally in the workforce. So yeah, it's been great. I think we're going to continue to try to bring new topics and events like that. So I think even like this business summit, how we've done it in the past, it probably will change a little bit, trying to stay ahead of the curve and be timely with our members. So yeah, I've been involved with the council for 8 or 9 years maybe now, and it's been very rewarding, especially meeting people like you, Matt.
Well, thank you. I loved that. I loved that last event that I went to. It was what was the name of that restaurant? It was in Bethlehem.
Yeah, Apollo Grill. Yeah,
Apollo
and in
Grill.
fact, so if you didn't know, Eric and Matt, and then any of those listening, but in June, obviously Pride Month, I believe on the weekends, Apollo Grill for their brunch. If you order, pick up curbside, or maybe if they happen to open and you can actually sit in the restaurant, but their brunches, they are going to donate a proceed of their brunches to our LGBT scholarship fund. So given the current circumstances, a restaurant that is going to give back to a community like ours is just, it's a tremendous, it's just so powerful from them that the Apollo Grill, they've been a great asset and an ally for us in the Lehigh Valley. But yeah, that's where the event was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know Eric knows that because, actually, after the event, we went back there as a group, and they had Lobster Week. So we were like, "Oh, let's find out about Lobster Week."
Perfect.
It was so good. It was a perfect evening. But when I was at Eric's place last year at your Pride party, he had a party for, just on the eve of Pride, and that's when I first learned about Apollo Grill. They were at your party as well. They were you had a kind of a group of them there.
Right. No, Apollo's always been a great advocate for the LGBT community, always. I mean, even from the shirts they wear when they're serving to just the activities they do in the community, it's great. It makes you feel good when you go in because they're giving back. Yeah.
Well, what for Eric, how's now that we're in this pandemic and we're talking about things changing? I mean, how have things changed for you here?
As far as real estate goes?
Yeah, I think so, for business.
Yeah. I mean, so like Mary was saying, the last few months have been really interesting. Trying to navigate a world where you're in front of people all the time to now doing it when you're not in front of people, personally, and you're doing things on the phone. I absolutely think that the landscape of a lot of businesses are changing, and I think it's going to stay that way for a long time. I think these things like conversations over Zoom may not have happened previously. And now you're seeing all kinds of this stuff, and it opens up a whole world for people. I think allowing people to get more education, allowing people to, promote their goods and their wares in a different way, and allow people to connect, where they may not be able to connect to. I think it's just kind of advancing the technology, kind of space for us, which is cool. Real estate in the Lehigh Valley has always been phenomenal, as far as I've been doing it. And, I think that the calls and the people interested in buying and selling houses didn't slow down for us. Unfortunately, we just weren't allowed to do it. So our hands were tied, like a lot of businesses, but we just kept pushing through. And then last week, of course, we got the call that we were allowed to do it. So now it's just gung ho, which is wonderful. So we're kind of back in action, which is really nice.
I think the important part for everybody is just not to suffer Zoom fatigue. As you were saying, your husband, Jason, is like, he was like, there's another Zoom call? No, I've got to get out in the real world with people.
Right. Yeah. People miss that interaction. They truly want to be in front of people, which I don't blame them. I do too.
The first plug I'll do for this show is that I'm starting to call it the anti-Zoom. Here we are recording it on Zoom, but it's designed, or the idea is to kind of be an anti-Zoom. We don't want to be this, I personally get bored when I'm on one of those calls with a lot of talking heads and everybody's there's a lag. I don't know. It just, I mean, I shouldn't say bored. Some of them have been okay, but we're trying to be different. And, you know, that's where we're going to find out what happens, you know, months and years from now, as far as where all this goes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure
Yeah.
to figure out what happens. Yeah.
Well, I'm mostly looking forward to, we're all neighbors, and I'm looking forward to when this is all over, that you guys are going to come over for I've decided, like, I've got the barbecue stuff down really well. I've even got a garden outside. So I'm like, got this whole idea about, you know, bringing some of that out. So anyway, you guys, once we can start to do that, expect that call.
Love that. Looking forward to it, definitely.
Same here. Well, any other parting words for our audience as before we head on out?
Mary, I'll let you go first if you want.
Put the pressure on me.
No problem. You can just say, this has been good. We've said it all.
Yeah, no, it's I'm enjoying doing this. I'm looking forward to the day where, like you said, we can be around each other, within 6 feet of each other.
Yep.
Hopefully a hug here and there, spending time at each other's houses, and getting back to business, a little bit back to usual, but understanding that things are probably going to change.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's a good way. You know, I'll probably have the flexibility to work from home more, which is even better, being a parent to a 2-year-old. So I'll cherish those days as well. But I think everybody's cherishing the old way, which is a good, you know, the old of going to work. I never thought I would say I miss going to work, but I miss going to work.
Yeah.
I think that the important thing, Matt, you started out this conversation with talking about the amount of people that show up for LGBT, you know, support and stuff like that. And I think the thing for people to realize that are not from the Lehigh Valley, or, you know, maybe even never heard of us, is that there is a massive LGBT community here. And it's been strong for a really long time. You know, I remember being a teenager and, you know, seeing Pride and those sort of things. And that's, I think, really important for young people in the Valley that are, you know, growing up LGBT and need outlets, that there's a ton of stuff, you know, whether it's the chamber or it's, you know, certain businesses, or there's youth groups, there's Pride, there's the Bradbury Sullivan Center. We have a local chapter of NAGLREP, which is the National Association for Gay and Lesbian Real Estate Professionals.
Yep.
And that, I have the honor to be the president of the Lehigh Valley chapter. And the greatest thing about that is there's these young gay, lesbian couples that are, you know, calling and saying, you know, we want to buy a house, but we want to work with a realtor who's gay or a realtor who's lesbian, because we feel like they just might be able to understand us a little bit better, or we don't want to be discriminated against. And, you know, to have that, being involved in that, has opened up the doors for really cool people, really cool conversations that you didn't see 10 years ago. So I think that, you know, for anybody that's listening, the population is here. It's awesome. The community is awesome, and a lot of people are involved. So I'm really proud to be an out gay man in the Lehigh Valley, especially now.
Well, this is fantastic. I'm so glad you guys were. Yes, I agree. Thanks for being here with us today. And like I said, I really look forward to being able to reconnect in the real world again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having
Oh,
us.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, you guys.
Matt.